Welcome to Train Signal. You're watching the welcome video for our Windows Server 2008 R2 training. I'm your host, Coach Culbertson. Let's get right into it. And in this video, you're going to learn a little bit about your instructor. We're going to talk about the hardware setup that I used in case you want to play along at home. And then, of course, we're going to talk about, well, what's in this course, right? So you know what to expect for the videos. So just a little bit about me. Of course, I have all the certifications you'd expect an instructor to have, and that's fairly interesting. And I have 10 plus years of experience, and after all, I stopped counting after 10. But something that you might not know that kind of separates me out a little bit, I did take a break from the corporate world, and I took a 2-year tour of duty as an inner-city high school teacher in Chicago. And I took a bunch of at-risk students and I turned them into computer techs. And we were actually one of the first programs in the city. Actually, we were the first program, I should say, that the students had multiple certifications when they walked out the door. In addition to my Clemente kids, I've also launched a couple hundred careers for adults as well. I've taught everyone from CEOs to janitors along the way. And I've literally have taught live thousands of people around Chicagoland, and obviously thousands more via video. So I intend to continue that trend with this video. And so that's just a little bit about me. And now I want to talk to you a little bit about Train Signal. Train Signal, we have a very casual training method. So my goal here is really to make you feel like I'm sitting right next to you, like a buddy. Just sitting there talking, looking over your shoulder, or really letting you watch over my shoulder, just, talking you through these different techniques. Now, in terms of hardware setup, I just want to talk you through what I have just a little bit. I actually only am using 2 machines, okay? I'm using 2 Hyper-V compatible servers with Server 2008 R2 installed. Now, just so you know, you can download a trial version of Server 2008 R2 from Microsoft. You can just go to Microsoft.com, type in Server 2008 R2, grab a copy of it, and install it. And by the way, it is a standalone installation, so if you are creating or building a brand new server, you don't have to install Server 2008 first. You can just go ahead and jump straight to R2. Now, one of my servers is the primary domain controller, DC1R2. And it is important, if you want to play along at home, that you utilize probably at least 2 servers, due to the fact that both servers serve different purposes throughout the course. Now, most of the work that we're going to be doing is on the Hyper-V box, though, just so you know. And on the Hyper-V box, you're going to want to create 1 secondary domain controller. Make sure it's DNS enabled and all that good stuff. Then you can create 2 vanilla and when I say vanilla, I just mean, just basic, plain install, basic configuration, rename the machines, give them IP addresses, that kind of stuff. Very basic configurations because I'll be walking you through everything else. But create 2 basic Server 2008 R2 machines, and you can name them the same thing as I have here on the screenshot because this is exactly what I used all throughout the course. Then you're also going to want to create a core machine, and you can just simply install Server Core R2, do some very basic configuration if you like, but I actually do walk you through the entire configuration of Server Core R2, so you don't have to worry too much about whether or not you know how to make that work, alright? So we'll get to that machine in the IIS 7.5 video, some good stuff there. Then I want you to also create 2 Windows 7 client machines, alright? Create 2 Windows 7 client machines. The first client machine, you're going to name exactly what I name it here. Now, the second one is to play around with the Windows 7 client too. But this first one, win7.globalmanticsr2.com, when you create your virtual machine, you're going to want to create it and name it exactly as I've named it here. Now, it can just be a plain old Windows 7 client. It doesn't have to be anything special. I actually run most of the video with my Windows 7 client running at only half a gig of RAM. There is a point where I increase that half a gig to a full gig when we're working with remote desktop. But other than that, pretty basic setup. Just create some virtual machines. You don't have to have them all running at the same time, just so you know. Both of my machines are 4 gigabytes of RAM, 2.4 gigahertz quad-core processors, and they both have I think they're 250 gigabyte hard drives. So nothing that extravagant, but your processor does need to be compatible with Hyper-V. So just so you know that's what I'm using all throughout the course. And also, by the way, if you are also creating or wanting to play along at home, I don't have a whole lot of user accounts either in this one. This is pretty much what I have. I have an admins folder. This particular account, this is what we use a lot, G-Money. All right, so we can go ahead and create an account named G-Money. Roger U there we create in the course, so you don't have to create it actually right out of the box. And then I also have a group called Seattle. Now all of these users live in this Pacific Users OU, so you're going to want to create a Pacific Users OU as well. And everything else in Active Directory that we build will be created throughout the course, so you'll know exactly what to do, when to do it. All right, so that's what I'm using in terms of hardware setup. So now let's go ahead and talk about what's in this course. And just so you know, I am assuming that you have a fairly decent grasp on most of the concepts of Server 2008. I pretty much have built this course at a more advanced level. I've kind of cut out a lot of scenario stuff that you're probably used to in some of my other courses, because I know that you just want to get to the good stuff in this course. If you're watching this course, chances are you already have a lot of experience with Server 2008, or you've gone all the way through the MCITP video courses from Train Signal, or have an equivalent level of experience. So this one, we just get into the nitty-gritty right out of the box and get things done. Okay? That's the whole point of this course. So first of all, we start off with new Active Directory management tools, which of course requires you to have some knowledge of Active Directory to begin with, right? I think you're really going to like these. These are very cool, very nice tools that you're going to get a lot of mileage out of. Now, here's one, and you notice here I've kind of highlighted this in a different color, the Active Directory Recycling Bin. This is going to be something that everybody is going to want to use. Now, using the Active Directory Recycling Bin does require you to upgrade your functional level. So that means all of your domain controllers, if you want to use the Active Directory Recycling Bin, must be Server 2008 R2, all of your domain controllers, right? That is just, that's the way it is. And if that's not the way it is in your enterprise, you're not going to be able to use this fantastic tool, which allows you to bring back deleted user accounts, OUs, all that kind of stuff. Almost any kind of Active Directory object you can bring back using the Active Directory Recycling Bin, and you don't have to do any weird backlink rebuilding and all that weird stuff. It just works. Now, it is command line, and I do provide you with the script, by the way, to utilize for it. So a major new feature is going to be covered in this one. You're going to want to pay close attention to it. You might need to watch that video. You might even want to watch it once or twice just to make sure you have your head wrapped around it. New group policy in Server 2008 R2. We'll talk to you about some of the new GPO stuff. In the next video, build an ASP.NET application server and server core. You notice I've highlighted this one too. If you're a web head, you're going to love this one. If you're looking to build lightweight web servers that are more secure, that you're more willing to put out in your DMZ and publish out to the universe, this is going to be a fantastic video for you. Because I show you how to build a server core web application server from scratch. I take you all the way through configuring the ASP.NET functionality, which by the way is new with Server 2008 R2. We did not have ASP.NET functionality in Server Core with Server 2008. That was one of the things that people were screaming about. So the elves over at Microsoft.com have actually built for us, and that included that feature in Server Core for this release. So this is fantastic stuff. I show you how to set up remote management for it. I show you how to set up remote FTP for it. You're going to have a complete application server for all of your ASP.NET scripts ready to go after you have this accomplished. So it's good stuff. You're going to really want to dig into that one probably if you're looking to build web servers using Server 2008 R2. The next video, I show you how to actually boot a machine with a virtual hard disk. Now, part of your brain might be actually saying, why would I ever want to do this? Why does this make any sense at all? Well, it makes sense from a development standpoint and from a testing standpoint. And I'll show you what that entails in that particular video. Now, in video 7, I want to talk to you about Hyper-V dynamic storage and quick switch settings. Now, if you're familiar with Hyper-V already, which I'm assuming that you're at least a bit familiar with Hyper-V and can build your own virtual machines, you're going to love dynamic storage. You're going to be able to add virtual hard drives on the fly without shutting down the machine. So good stuff. And that one also, there's a little quick switch settings thing I'll show you in there. Now, number 8, this is going to be one of the things that you'll probably utilize in about 2 or 3 years unless you already know what a VDI is. Now, all of a sudden you're like, hey, wait a minute, weird acronym, what's going on? What's a VDI? Is that some kind of disease? No, it's not. If you're using something similar to Citrix or another thin client infrastructure to deliver desktops to your users, I think you're going to really dig this whole remote desktop services thing. And by the way, in Server 2008 R2, everything that used to be terminal services is now remote desktop services. So some very cool stuff that's happening with that. And in the personal virtual desktop video, I show you how to build out virtual desktops, and it's very cool. It's a little bit of a longer video because there's a lot of configuration for it. However, it's going to be something I think you're really going to like if you work in a very, very secure environment. Now, in video 9, we're going to talk a little bit about Hyper-V clustering, live migration, and quick migration. Live migration is a new feature in Server 2008 R2 that allows you to move a virtual machine between nodes in a virtual machine failover cluster, Hyper-V failover cluster. So it's super easy to use, just so you know, as long as you have the right hardware. And I've actually included a bonus section in that particular video as well for your enjoyment. Then we're going to talk about Windows Server 2008 R2 and Windows 7 together. We're going to talk about App Locker. App Locker is a group policy object that has been a long time coming, and I'm not kidding. I'll actually show you how to, in a very, very easy way, restrict who gets to do what on your desktops. Now, I know if you've been around the Server 2008 world for a while, you're thinking, well, yeah, there's methods of doing that. There's the software restriction policies and all that stuff. Yes, there is. However, App Locker gives you a lot more control. It's a lot more flexible, and it's so easy to use. You're going to love it, I promise. If you're used to banging around with hashes and all that other stuff in the previous versions of Windows, you're going to like App Locker, promise. All right, video 11, we talk about branch cache, which is a new feature in R2, which actually allows you to cache files from web servers and file servers on your client machines. And also there's a hosted configuration for branch cache as well. But it's going to cut down on your bandwidth bleeding as well as provide your users with a better experience of getting to intranet files, internet web pages, and anything else you can store on a web server. So in this video, by the way, I show you how to do what we call the co-op or distributed methodology of branch cache. It's very cool. You don't even have to have a separate file server in your branch office in order to make branch cache happen. So I'll walk you through that and show you the steps on how to set that up. And then last, I have one last concept video in this one called Direct Access. Now, Direct Access is a new feature that's basically VPNs without using VPN. It's awesome. However, Direct Access really deserves a video course in and of itself. So as the last video of this one, I just provide you with an overview of the concept so you know what's going to be available in Direct Access, and you'll find out the requirements of what you'll need to build out a Direct Access setup. Now, it is just concept because it's a very involved setup process, and you have to have a PKI infrastructure in place and all kinds of crazy stuff. But I did at least want to include something about Direct Access so that you'll know that what's available in it so you can research it further. All right, so now you know about your instructor, you know the basics of hardware that you're going to need if you want to play along at home and what you and I are going to cover in this course. So you know what to expect. So tell you what, enough talky. Let's get going. Let's get into this next video.